Boleh Kak.
Hi,
Hi Leila, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too, thank you.
Okay, hello.
Fikri.
Hi.
Okay.
Hello there, Leila.
Sorry?
Okay, good morning there. Is it
Yeah,
morning?
it's good. Yeah, it's morning.
You currently live in Bali?
Yeah.
That's nice. So, good morning, everyone. So, we're just going to just chatting about our own culture. So, we are from the University of Singapura Bangsa Karawang, which was
Mm-hmm.
a state university in Karawang, near the capital city of Jakarta. Have you been to
Mm-hmm.
Karawang?
I have, yeah. My stepmom is from Karawang, so I've been there a few times.
Oh, that's uh so you have lived here for how many years?
In Bali, um, I've I only started living in Bali 6 months. Um, and before that, I lived in the United States.
Oh, the US.
Yeah.
So before we going further, we're just going to introduce ourselves first, I guess. So my name is Fikri. I'm
Mm-hmm.
from Karawang, obviously, and probably the others, Indonesia, I guess.
Okay, my name is Lunasia. You can call me Nisha. I'm from Karawang too.
And my name is Fadila Nisa, or you know me, I'm Sasa.
Mm-hmm.
So we are from just I told you before that we are from University of Singapore Bangsa Karawang. We are on a project of mm, making a conversation with a native speaker. So your first language is English, right?
Yeah, my first language is English, but I also speak French, and I can only speak a little bit of Indonesian.
That's very good. So we are, I think we are bilingual. We have so many language to speak it. So you can introduce yourself, Layla, to us, I guess.
Okay. Hi, I'm Layla, as you know, and I live in Bali, and I'm French. I'm French and Indonesian.
So you are French, but have lived in United States.
Yeah, I lived in multiple places. I was born in California, and then I lived in Bali for 5 years. And then after that, I moved to South Korea and I lived there for 3 years. And then I moved back to the States. I lived in New Jersey. It's right next to New York. And I lived there for about like 7 years. And then now I'm in Bali. I've been here for 6 months. And then this summer, I'm planning to go back to New Jersey.
That's very good. You've been to so many places, I see.
Yeah.
California, New Jersey, and now Bali. So have you been to France?
To France.
Yes.
Yes, I have been to France. I never lived there, but I have family in France. So I've visited a few times Paris and then some other places. I've yeah.
So I guess you have French as ethnicity, and
hmm
you you are not live in France. How do you feel about that? I mean, as a French.
Um, I huh. I mean it doesn't bother me too much that I have never lived in France, but I do feel like sometimes I miss out because a lot of my family is in France. I feel the same way about Indonesia before I moved here. Um, I just feel like I'm missing out with like family because I because I don't live in the same place as them, I don't communicate with them as much as I would like to.
That's nice. Thank you for your for a background information of your culture and your um, background, I guess. So we we are going to talk more about, I guess, education and your culture, especially living in the United States, I guess.
Mhm.
Maybe Fadila Nisa or Linisha wants to ask Layla first about education or something.
Maybe first, I want to ask to you, Leila, about uh, are people in American easy to mingle or make friends with new people?
Um, it's the same as any other place. It's yeah, I mean, you just meet people and then you become friends with them. But it's obviously it's very different than how it is here in Bali. The like social culture is different, and then the like it's just it's wait, it's the same equation. You just meet people and then you become friends with them. But there is something that's important to point out is um how do I explain this? A lot of people are very nice when it comes to people from different cultures and from different countries, but you will meet people that are racist and that will treat you differently because you are not white or you are not American. So that's
Mm,
also important to point out.
okay. Um, Maybe that's all from me.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
uh, you said that Americans and other kind of the other country is much the same in terms of like friendship, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you compare like Indonesian people, American people? Which do you think like the most friendlier or like
So here in Bali, the people I mainly hang out with is mainly like mixed people, mixed with French or French people or um, French and Indo people. So I don't have too many friends that are that are locals here, but I do have friends from Jakarta who are locals or who are a little bit mixed. I would say I think Jakarta people are really really nice. They're really really nice, very sweet, very real. They're not superficial superficial or like shallow. The people I have here in Bali, some of them are really nice, but some of them are not so nice. Um, and the people in the States also nice, but they can come off as maybe a little rude sometimes. But I think for me, like Jakarta people are the nicest. The people I've met here are a little judgmental, and the people in the U.S. can be a little rude. But overall, they're all really nice.
that's so cool, I guess. Um,
Mhm.
let's talk about more about your education, I guess. I heard that you're still in high school.
Yes, I am. I'm
So,
in grade 11.
so my friends want to know that in Indonesia we have 6 years of education in elementary school, 3 years
Mhm.
in junior high school, and 3 years in senior high school. So,
Mhm.
uh,
So,
what about that in the US? Is it the same?
so how it works in the U.S., you start. Um, so there's preschool, but that's not really like, as far as I know, I don't know if that's like actually like a must. So we're just gonna disregard preschool. You start school in kindergarten, and that's about I think 6 years in total in elementary school kindergarten through 5th grade, and then after that you go to middle school, which is 6th grade to 8th grade, so that's 3 years, and then high school is 4 years. It's 9th grade through 12th grade.
So it's I think quite different in here, right?
Yeah.
So have you ever been in school in Indonesia?
I used to go to, when I lived in Indonesia many years ago when I was much younger. I used to go to the French school, the one in Umalas. I don't know if you guys, because you guys are from Karawang, but there's a French school right by where I live. I used to go there. It would use a French system, but I don't really remember much about it. And since living here, I do online school, so I don't really have an experience as a high schooler in Bali going to school. So yeah.
Oh, so that's quite an experience. So I think Nisa or Nisa want to ask more about
Uh,
education.
I have a question again, Leila. Do you study any other language besides English at your school?
Um,
Like their international language, maybe?
yeah, so in the school I used to go to in the US, there would be a total of 3 languages other than English that you can learn, and that consists of Latin, Italian, and Spanish. I personally took Spanish. In middle school as well, there's only one choice, it's Spanish. But as you get to high school, you have different choices, and every school is different. I know in New York, for example, when I used to go to school in New York, there was a lot of different options for languages because it was an international school, a private international school. So we could do Chinese, Japanese, French, Italian, Spanish, Russian. There was a bunch of different options. But yeah, in the public school that I went to before I moved here, there was only Spanish, Latin, and Italian.
Okay. And so, are there any of these languages that you have say? Are there any of this language that you master?
No. It's the thing is that when you go to school, like a lot of the people who go to school in the US, when they learn a language, it's very rare for someone to actually master the language. Because a lot of people just like don't really care, they don't really pay attention. So I never mastered Spanish. When I went to school in New York, I did take French, but I was already fluent in French, so I guess that wouldn't really count. It was just a class that you would take that was just French. I never mastered any of the languages that I learned in school.
Okay, that's so
So,
nice.
so I guess you learn languages. So what languages do you use in your family?
I use English, French, and sometimes Indonesian. My mom speaks to me in Indonesian. I can understand it. I just usually respond back in English.
So your dad teach you, I think, French, and your mom Indonesian, but you in your family you both speak English. Is it as a lingua
Yeah,
franca? Yes.
it's a mix of languages. The main language because I don't live with my dad. My dad lives in the U.S. So in this household, I really just speak English and a little bit of Indonesian. When I lived with my dad, it would be French and English.
Okay. So I guess Linisha has a question for you.
Yeah, I want to ask. I want to know that is it hard studying in US for you or yes?
It can be a little hard. But it depends on what class you take. There's different levels of classes. Whether you want to take like a harder class or just a regular class, it all depends on your intellectual level. and how you are organized with your work and how much you pay attention. If you don't pay attention and you don't take notes and you're not focused, then that's going to be very hard for you. But if you focus, if you're organized, if you pay attention, you ask questions, and you're really engaged in the class, um, it can be easier, but there's still some topics that are really hard.
So how do you compare that to learning in Indonesia?
Um, well, as I said previously, I do an online school, so I don't actually go into school. Now the online school that I do, it's based in Singapore, but it is an American system.
Oh,
Um, so it is very similar. Um, so I don't have too much to say about the comparison between like an Indonesian school or an American school because I do a school that runs on the American system. Um, but yeah, I can't really compare.
so I think let's just move on to another, I think, theme. So we have talked about education in your country that you live in. So
Mm-hmm.
you are French, right? But
Mm-hmm.
not living in France. So is there
Mm-hmm.
any culture that, I mean, maybe your father introduced you French culture, right? I guess.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
uh, but you're not live in France. So is there any culture that you think is special that only French people has?
Um, well, I think the French are very much into the arts and like ballet, classical music, um, art from the Renaissance or from hundreds of years ago. Um, Also, there's certain holidays in France, like it's called I forgot what it's called, but it's this holiday. It just passed. It's in January, and basically the concept is you have a pie, and you cut the pie and then you serve it to people, and then in the pie there's a little, I don't know how to say it in English, but it's this little ceramic thing, and there's one in the pie, and then if you get the ceramic thing, then you are like the king or the queen. It's based on the three kings in like a biblical story that has to do with Jesus. I don't know much about the story, but it's just a fun like little tradition. I didn't get to celebrate it this year because none of the family members that I live with are French. Um, Also, I feel like the way that we do Christmas is very extravagant. It's always such a big deal. Christmas in French families, there's always it's a big deal to a lot of cultures, obviously, but I feel like there's something about the French culture where it's like very, very extravagant. A lot of people at your house, a lot of food, a lot of really good food. Um, so yeah, there's that. Yeah.
So I guess French people really appreciate art as more than any other country, I guess, because I guess in France there are so many museum and art exhibition, something like that.
Mhm.
So other than art, I guess I think food is also part of the culture. I think Venetia wants to ask more about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I want to know that. What about food? Does sorry French? Yeah, have a typical food like Indonesians, or there are a lot of junk food?
Wait, sorry, could you just repeat that? I didn't get to hear what you said.
Maybe
So
like
yeah,
I guess the
Wait,
distinctive food in the US. Maybe we as Indonesian see the US as don't have some sort of uh, exotic cuisine
Mhm.
like in Asia. We only
Mhm.
see the United States as junk food.
Mhm.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
is that true? Maybe.
Um, it's it's basically true. Yeah, I don't really know a lot of there's not a lot of like traditional American food. Um, uh, a lot of it is a lot of it is just very like high in fat, high in carbs, high in sugar. Um, but there obviously are some healthy options, but yeah, mainly it's the portions are very big. They're very big. That's something that I didn't even notice until I got here because the portions in Indonesia are so small. But yeah, the portions in the US are humongous. So yeah, that's basically what you hear is true.
So you like it in Bali more about food and
Oh yeah,
yes.
definitely. There's the local food, Indonesian food, and then also there's a bunch of different restaurants around here that are Western or other kinds of Asian food. It's really nice.
So I heard that you've been to France. So there this stereotype about French people, especially in Paris, that they are very rude to tourists. Is that
Mhm.
true?
I've also heard that. I think what it is that French people are very honest and they're not very they some we don't do we don't do small talk. So it's not very common for people to be like, oh hi, and I'm like that's for strangers to just like greet each other. Um, there are some French people that are very stuck up and rude, but I feel like that's in every country. There's always gonna be like a rude person. Um, but I think a lot of tourists mistake our like I don't know how to even describe it. Like we just don't do unnecessary things. Small talk is deemed as unnecessary. We only really talk if we need to. It can be a little depressing, but it is what it is. Overall, French people, they're nice. Not everyone is rude. Um, yeah.
So I guess because we have different cultures, especially in Indonesia, we have more like indirect and
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of small talks. When
Mm-hmm.
when we go to France and see
Mm-hmm.
French people is more direct and more honest, I mean,
Yeah.
shock. So I
Yeah.
guess, yeah. If Fadila, I think I want to ask you,
Okay, I want to ask again. According to the stereotype that I've ever heard, is it true that if we eat at some restaurant or any restaurant, is it obligatory to pay a tip?
Oh, in the U.S.
Yeah,
It's not obligatory, but it's you're kind of socially forced to do it because if you don't do it, then you look like a rude person.
yeah.
It's not in the law that tips are necessary, but if you don't tip, then you just look like a mean person basically. So in a way, it is obligated.
yeah, I think
No.
it's just more about, once again, culture, I guess,
Hmm.
that has been in so many years before. So in
Hmm.
Indonesia, I think tip is like more I think not that important. I mean, if you tip some driver or waitress, I think it's fine, but usually they don't expect you to tip, I guess.
Yeah,
I
in
think
the
that's
US,
very
you
good.
are expected to tip.
Is it the same in Bali?
Like to tip.
Yes.
No. Tipping is really like not something that people expect as far as I know. Um, I worked for a little bit at a restaurant. I didn't expect really for tips because it wasn't really a thing. People just gave tips like, oh, because why not? But it wasn't anything anybody expected.
Maybe we have learned so much about your uh, ethnicity in France and your living in the United States. Maybe you can ask about living in Indonesia.
Okay. So have any of you guys been outside of Indonesia?
I'm currently not. I've been living in
No?
Perth. Maybe yeah. Maybe I like to go to a neighboring country like Singapore or Malaysia first. because it's
Yeah.
cheap.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If there was like a country or a place that you would want to go without thinking about prices, where would you go?
Korean.
Korea's really nice. Yeah.
Um, maybe I will go to New York for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I will go to German because I'm currently learning to speak German.
Okay. All right. That's nice. So, why did you guys pick the countries that you said?
I think Lanisha is a K-popers.
Yeah, because I love Korean.
Yeah.
I just adore the German culture.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I will work there or something. So currently we have 10 minutes left, unfortunately, but we still have time to talk about it. Maybe you can, like you've been living in Bali for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You've also been living in Karawang in Jakarta. Uh, because Indonesia is a big country, right? There are
Mm-hmm.
so many culture. It's very diverse there. I think. I mean, U.S. is also, I think, in some parts are very diverse, like New York. But I think Indonesia is very different because even if we are diverse, we have so many culture, but we speak one language. We unite into one country. How do you feel about that? I mean, how is it different from other country that you ever
How
been?
how is Indonesia different from other countries?
Yes, I think in terms of I think culture and people and nationality, something like that.
Um, wait. Um, I think that it's different. Wait, sorry. I'm sorry. I think it's different in the sense where, like we spoke about previously, a lot of people here are very much into small talk. Also, something that I've noticed when I first moved here is that a lot of people just like stare. A lot of people just look at people. With, like no words are spoken, just people are staring, and you don't really do that in America. It's if anything, staring is considered as rude. So I was very confused when this was when people were just staring, but then I would ask my mom about it, and she was like, "Oh, it's normal. Like they don't mean harm. It's just what it is." I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right, that's fine." So that's something that's a little different. For something actually, it's not different, but it's very similar. This whole sense of unity in Indonesia is very similar to the sense of unity that we have in the States. As you previously mentioned, Indonesia is a very big country with lots of different cultures, but we all speak one language and we all are considered Indonesians. It's the same in the States. It's a very big country with a lot of different areas, a lot of different cultures. But it's we're taught that it's called the United States for a reason. We all speak the same language. We all are proud to be Americans, and it's the same as in Indonesia.
So that's I think nice opinion. So I see that you have so many like I know that your ethnicity is French, but you have lived longer in the United States. How do you have any like identity issue or identity crisis or sometimes what am I? Do you ever feel that?
Yeah, no, I did for the longest time. I used to have, like you said, like this big identity issue where I was very confused of what I was supposed to be. Um, and living in a place like the States at such a young age in an area where not a lot of people look like you or share the same culture as you kind of feel like, well, why am I this culture? Like I don't want to be this culture. And then eventually you grow into being proud of your culture, but that is something that um, I've experienced in the past, and a lot of people who are, not 100% American or mixed or from other like immigrants have um, experienced that.
I think we as a people in Indonesia like uh, also has also like identity crisis because especially in like bigger city. So I think the globalization now I'm speaking is like the more traditional language has been like left behind. I guess also like in Indonesia in terms of culture is a bit like what is it in English word like lowering. It's not like it's not like deep into the culture anymore. How about you? I mean, you you are a mix of French and Indonesia, and is it that like are you trying to like improve or like promoting your own culture to the world so that your culture is not dying?
Um, I understand what you mean, definitely. Um, I guess like I'm promoting it, and I don't want it to decrease in me. Like I don't like I don't want to lose my culture, and I don't want my children to not have the culture that I had. That's why I really want them to learn Indonesian. I want them to learn French and learn English and be fluent in all languages and know the cultures, because it's very sad, like a loss of culture. So it's definitely something that I don't want it to happen to myself, and I don't want it to happen to my future children.
Yeah, I guess I think we should promoting our own culture to to new generation for it to grow more and not die. So we have currently 3 minutes left.
Okay.
I think we're just going to pausing for a bit. So do you have any message for us Indonesian, and we can also have a message for you?
Just like any message.
Maybe like I think your experience living in Bali in 6 months. I mean, just maybe like a suggestion for us Indonesian people.
Okay. Don't let anybody control you. Don't let anybody get in the way of your goals. Don't let anybody change you. Don't change for anyone. Just like I know it's so oversaid, but I cannot stress it enough. You have to be proud of who you are and what path you're on. Don't let anybody bring you down. Don't let a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a parent, a friend. You do you. That's what matters. That's the only forever thing in your life. It's you. Rely on yourself and do things for yourself, never for anyone else. So
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, Indonesian people mostly feel gak enakan. If you understand that, do you understand that? Yes,
What'd
it's
you
like
say?
gak enakan means like like you just what is it? It's not confident and let other people influence you rather than you influence people. It's like that. So I guess thank you very much, Leila, for your participation. We are very grateful. I think we're going to screenshot the this Zoom. I think.
Okay.
Everybody smile. 1, 2. Okay, that's it. Okay. I think for final, can you give us 3 words about Indonesian culture? Just 3 words.
Okay. Beautiful,
Beautiful.
interesting, and uh, very diverse, very different.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I hope you have a very good time here in Bali. There in Bali, of course.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I wish you luck in your education and going to university, I guess. Yes.
Mhm.
But
Thank
you've
you.
been you've been very helpful to us in in this project. We are very having a great time
I'm glad. Thank you.
to have a conversation.
Hmm.
And thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Layla.
helping me.
By the way, you look gorgeous then.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Guys, malu banget. Ya
Bener
Allah.
dong. Beda banget sama yang kemarin ya.
Kenapa? Kenapa? Beda gimana?
Beda banget sama yang kemarin ya.
Parah